Hi, my name is Nicole, or Miniaturepug is that's the name of my channel, but it's obviously not my real name, as that would just be a little bit weird. And as some of you may know, May is the month of mental health awareness. Now, what some people find is that the more people talk about their mental health, the more it seems to help them. It makes people feel not as alone in the world, to know that someone out there is going through the same thing. Many people choose to keep it to themselves for problems to only get worse. I speak from experience. I'm hoping that this video, however, if you keep watching, will help somebody out there get the help that they need if they're suffering. Now, here is something you may not know about me, and mainly because it's something that I've only really told those closest to me. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and body dysmorphic disorder. Depression is something that I've had for a long time now, so long in fact that I can't really pinpoint when or where it all started. I know I hit my first low point in secondary school when I was about 12 years old. I used to get picked on pretty much relentlessly. It drove me to the point where I had to take almost 2 years out of secondary school and be homeschooled because of it, and the way that I was back then. Now, some people may think that being homeschooled must be great. It really wasn't for me. It was a very lonely time. I would think about how my friends would be in school and they could talk to one another, and I was at home too scared to go in. And if I saw my friends on their days off, I always felt like I was an outsider to them. In school, I was called fat, ugly, and worthless on pretty much a daily basis. I would get chairs kicked at me and things thrown at me, and people following me around spraying deodorant on me because I smelled. Even when I did come back to finish my GCSEs, it still continued, and it was always a struggle for me to go to school. Students actually thought that I had died during the 2-year break, and when I came back, some were annoyed because I hadn't. I would get panic attacks and I would break down just before I got to school, so much so that I would have to be taken home because I got into such a state and simply just couldn't bring myself to step foot into the building, no matter how much my mum tried to calm me down. Because of the way that I was suggested to see multiple counsellors to see if it would help. To be honest, they never did for me. I think I actually saw up to 6 counsellors in just a few short years. Counsellors really do help people, but I was always reluctant to tell others about the way that I felt. I was taken to the doctors a few times, well, actually a lot, and still get regular checkups today. For a few years, I tried to control the way that I felt. I convinced myself that there was nothing wrong and that I was making it all up, and that I was just over-exaggerating problems and that it would all go away if I tried to be happier. I also used to be very cautious about my diet. I would look in the mirror and see someone that I didn't like the look of. I felt ugly and pathetic every time I saw my reflection. I would control everything that I ate. I would weigh myself constantly and exercise far too much to try and get thin. Anything that I ate would give me stomach pains, which caused me to pass out in school, in the middle of the hall, in a full school assembly. And a few days after, I was sent to hospital because of the pain that I was in. They thought at first that it was my appendix. It wasn't. My appendix is still going strong, I think. We found out that it could all have been to do with my thinking. I basically thought that I couldn't eat anything bad, or else everything that I would have done would have been for nothing. And if I did eat something that wasn't what I thought was good, it was like my body was punishing me for eating it, and then I was finally diagnosed with body dysmorphic disorder. Thankfully, I noticed that all these things weren't good for me, and I stopped trying to control what I ate as much. I was tired of being in pain, to be honest. These days I eat in moderation, I would say, but sometimes I do still get worried about eating too much, and then I begin to notice that the stomach pains will reappear when I think like this. I do still struggle with my reflection sometimes. I do still see somebody that I don't like, but now that I know I have this problem, it does make it easier to deal with, and something that I have to keep reminding myself of from time to time. Depression and anxiety is something that I still struggle with on a daily basis. There will be times where I will get panic attacks over the smallest of things. I won't want to get out of bed, I won't want to do anything, I will just want to stay there for no reason at all. Depression and anxiety have caused me to miss out on a lot of things growing up. A lot of things that normal teenagers do, like going out on dates, hanging out with friends, even just being in school and having lunch with friends, were things that I missed out on. I took a few dance lessons a few years back and stopped because I felt too self-conscious. I started going to the gym back in September and stopped. I finally had the courage to go and I enjoyed it, and then I went on holiday and I came back and all of that courage just suddenly went away. There have been videos that I've done and I can pinpoint which ones they were. The day before or an hour before filming them, I had breakdowns. One video in particular, a few years ago, the day before I was going to cut all of my hair off. I grabbed scissors, went into my room, and my mum stopped me, thank God. It would not have ended up well. And I just broke down on the floor because I felt like everything in life was going wrong. It really wasn't, and that the only thing I had control of was my hair. Sounds a little silly looking back on it now, but last year I hit another low point. I was struggled going to work and started having panic attacks in work. I would go into the toilets and try to wait it out. I went back to the doctors and they finally said that they have tried everything with me and that they thought it was finally time for me to try medication. This was always something that I never wanted to do. I thought that I could deal with it and fix it in some way. But this time I tried medication, and luckily for me, it worked. I have to take medication for my depression every morning, and medication for my anxiety whenever I need it. Thankfully, I haven't needed the anti-anxiety tablets for a few months now. It's never gotten to that point. There are thoughts that I still struggle with. I do still sometimes think, what is the point to anything? And there will be times where I really don't want to be here anymore. These thoughts will come out of nowhere too. Sometimes I could be having quite a good day, but the second I sit and think for a moment, I will think these dark thoughts, and then I have to try and fight with these thoughts to keep it away. There will always be days that are worse than others. The medication isn't a fix-all kind of thing. It just helps me out a little. When I do catch myself thinking like this, I try to distract myself by drawing, writing, colouring, dancing, or playing on a game. Anything that won't just let me sit there and think about things. I wanted to share this part of my life with you, as I hope that it will help someone. Anyone. I always tried to convince myself that there was nothing wrong with me for years, and that I just needed to get over things. But I now wish that I had taken doctor's advice years ago, as I feel as though I could have done a lot more in my life growing up, if I had just had that little bit of help. It might not have been something that I wanted, but it really is helping me now. There have been so many things that I've been able to do and opportunities that I now have because I'm not staying in my room anymore and thinking about things that I can't change or things that might never happen. Mental illness is a very real thing, and it shouldn't be something that people are ashamed of. It should be talked about to let everyone know that they're not alone in feeling the way that they do. Everyone has a backstory, a past, and their own current situations going on in their lives. If we talk about it to one another, to the ones that we trust, we can all get through it together. You are never alone in the way that you feel. Thank you.